What's happening in the church in Rome that they're not getting along?
They seem to have different practices. And it's not just Jews and Gentiles. It could be, it's not maybe neatly divided into those camps. It could be Jews and Gentiles on one side, some Jews and Gentiles on one side, and some other Jews and Gentiles on another side, about practices, religious practices, eating together, following other kinds of religious observances. They're having trouble living that way. And so usually we get like to Romans 8 and kind of stop there. And if we're really interested in the conversation on predestination, we might read Romans 9 through 11. Everybody's favorite life verse is Romans 12, 1 and 2. And then a government treatise in Romans 13, which really isn't a government, and then we're lucky if we ever read Romans 14 and 15. But I think Romans 14 and 15 is the reason Paul wrote the letter. Because those are the instructions about how to be the community. In light of what God has done in Jesus, that he's been spelling out in all of those chapters, 1 through 11, and then also 12 and 13, in light of that work that God has done, how is this community to live together, to make space for one another, he said, welcome one another just as Christ has welcomed you. Right. And the just as Christ has welcomed you part is Romans 1 through 13. Right. So he spelled that out and he says, now, since you've been welcomed in with such gracious hospitality by God, you do the same for each other. And sometimes we don't even read those chapters.
Yeah. So Paul has this radical open hospitality, this radical open welcoming of the other into our midst, and that's what it means to be church.
Yes. Yeah.